Exercises to improve your paddling. Something like 85% of people's time in the water is paddling. So if you're not a good paddler, your surfing's kind of suffering. So there's multiple facets to being an efficient paddler. A lot of time in the water, that really helps. Do you have healthy shoulders? Can you move shoulders through full range of motion? Is it a healthy glenohumeral joint? If not, that's severely impacting your surfing. Do you have the ability to move the spine? If you don't, you can't get into a good paddling posture on a surfboard. You're going to start wrecking your neck and shoulder. Do you breathe well? A huge influence on paddling. Neck breathing, surf paddling. That's problematic. Maybe it's a cardiovascular issue, like you don't have enough endurance or work capacity, so you might look to time in a pool, more time in the water, or on a row machine, hitting on different energy systems. This is going to be some gym stuff to work on shoulder health, because if your shoulders aren't healthy and durable, there goes your paddling, strength, endurance, and power. Let's get into it. First, hanging. Shoulder mobility and scapular control. Your scapula are your shoulder blades. They've got all these muscles connected to it. Strong, healthy, mobile shoulders and shoulder blades improve your paddling. So what's modern life done to most people? Boom, put us here, right? This is the antithesis of what you need to do while paddling, basically. So when you're here, boom, that's the shoulder range you've got. This paddling, or this range of motion, will tear apart a shoulder girdle. That's expensive and painful. So we start working into hanging to get into this vertical arm position, learning how to control the shoulder blade, because that leads into pull-ups and chin-ups. If you have the strength capacity to do good pull-ups and chin-ups, then you've got a healthy shoulder in a sense that can go in a lot of different ways in terms of training. So what's hanging? Literally that. There's passive and active. So my feet are now off the floor, and I am just dead weight, passive hanging. And now I go into active hanging. Feet are off the floor. I'm just using muscles around the shoulder blade to essentially depress the scapula. So this is active, using the muscles to pull the shoulder blade down. Passive is just let gravity lengthen all that tissue. This can be really good in terms of some rehab stuff for people with shoulder issues, depending what it is. Consult with your practitioner. What we start working on, active. 10-second holds, even building up to 20. Control down into passive, hang there for about 5 seconds. Back up into active. This can be done every day. I get people alternating in 10 to 20 second active holds, 5-second passives, until their grips give out, right? It's building that awareness of scapular control, because we want to get into chin-ups or pull-ups. Chin-ups are palm face the body, palms face away is pull-up. That vertical pull is, like I said, a really healthy, strong, durable shoulder. What do most people do when they do pull-ups? That's the sound of a nasty pull-up. They get all necky because they don't know how to depress the scapula. So, get into that active position. From there, pull. Right? The same can be done for a chin-up. Get into that active position, pull. Keep the shoulders down. Once you get a solid pull-up or chin-up, most people it's easier to start with chin-ups, you can then start building volume, or building speed, or building strength by holding a dumbbell between the feet, or something like that, or building volume by lots of repetitions. Everybody should have some type of pull-up bar in the house, even one of the ones that hangs from the doorway. If every time you walk by it, you bang out 3, 6, 8 pull-ups, over the span of months you've built a whole bunch of volume. And again, just this healthy, mobile shoulder really can do a lot for time in the water. Paddling is pulling, so we train pulling of various speeds, angles, intensities, tempos, whether we're working on endurance, strength, or power. Right? In the gym, we're not trying to replicate the sport. We're trying to strengthen and improve movement patterns that apply to our sport. So pulling. Get a suspension trainer or some Olympic rings. You can get a decent set of Olympic rings for like 20 bucks. So what we're going to start working on are just what we call horizontal rows. And you change the angle of the body depending on your ability, your shoulder health, and what you're training for. Some keys to be aware of when you row, neck stays tucked. What you see a lot is this. You're teaching really faulty mechanics and creating some muscle imbalances to the body. So chin in good alignment, and as you pull, the whole shoulder pulls back, almost like you're trying to stretch the chest a bit, not rolling the shoulder forward in that row. Cool? So we can start with some angled rows here. Right? Good controlled tempo. If that's easy for you, if you're easily doing 10 to 15 reps there, you increase the intensity. So you just come lower. And you can start modulating the variables of an exercise, increasing the speed to work on speed and power production, increasing the number of reps to work on endurance. I could set a clock for 3 minutes in a row, non-stop for 3 minutes, working on endurance. Maybe we want to work on strength, so I come all the way to foot elevated, see, that's slower tempo, but it's working on strength control. You can work on speed. Again, paddling is pulling, whether it's for endurance or speed or power or strength. Really beneficial movement to work on shoulder health, pulling mechanics, and helps carry over to your time to surf. A good dynamic movement that people tend to dig, and it is beneficial, is you take that basic horizontal row and you start working on one arm, right? And then once you've accomplished one arm, you start really working on rotational. And it could be, again, strength-based, slower, more intensity, or less intensity, more speed, but really good dynamic pull. Everybody knows some lat pull downs, really beneficial movement. It's this whole lat tricep pull down. It's legit. Some keys to be aware of, right? Just like with the rows, you can modulate it to where it's heavier weight, more of a strength base, lesser repetition, less weight, higher repetition, more endurance base. But the keys that we often see is people have really bad alignment when they're doing that. So straighten that spine up, and at that pull completion, you're not letting the shoulder roll forward, because then you're not using all these scapular retractors, retraction of the scapula, to stabilize there, right? So bands, cable, whatever you got, get the torso forward, because from here, you're really working a smaller range of motion. So here, you're now working that lat through that full range. Keep everything in line. Pull. You can alternate. Right? I could go here for 40 reps, you know, build some endurance. Or maybe I start working on speed. Right? You see the variation of it. The keys are, don't roll the shoulders forward, keep head in alignment, and just shift the variables depending what you're training for. Triceps, push downs. You can do push downs, they're actually not that bad. Elbow extension and humeral extension, right? That's the finish of a paddle stroke. The tricep creates this movement, elbow extension. Really crucial to strong, efficient paddling, a good, healthy elbow. So you can work on just kind of straight push downs even, higher repetition, build some endurance, don't roll forward. What I often have guys start working on, because it gets a lot of also scapular control, like shoulder stability, and core control. So you first need to be able to be out in this kind of plank position without losing core control. So what I mean by good core control is that you're nice here and stable, you're not kind of losing spinal position. That's bad for your back. So once you're comfortable in that position, you can maintain spinal control, like I'm not sagging, it hurts to even do that. You then start working on tricep extensions here. Higher repetition, control. That can be a really good superset with doing something like pull-ups or chin-ups, or even horizontal rows and then getting into some tricep extensions for like 15, 20 reps. So you're working on mobility of the shoulder, keeping it nice and stable, that scapula upwardly rotated, bit of anatomy nerd out for you guys. And then nice core control, right? This whole paddle stroke, if you've got no core control, it's just you're leaking energy. So nice tricep ring extensions. So I've shown you a lot of kind of these bigger pulling movements. A big crucial part of paddle training is just shoulder health and shoulder prehab, what we call it. Pretty much anybody over the age of 30, if you've been an active swimmer, surfer, athlete, you've run into some shoulder stuff. So part of this whole longevity, health conscientiousness is keeping healthy shoulders. So these are kind of prehab oriented, but exceptionally beneficial. One of these, basic, gotta get into that pose in the gym, basic external rotations. So this is only like 5 pounds, doesn't require much. What you're doing is controlling. Think of having like a spit roast right through that humerus, that upper arm, and that you rotate right on that spit roast. So it's not all up and down, that is controlled straight down, straight up. This is posterior rotator cuff work. Simple, straightforward, often neglected. Don't fly through these, control forward. Find tension on the back of the shoulder. If you're rolling the shoulder forward while you're doing these, it's no good, right? When you're capable with those, you can then start going to just no support, where it's a lot more control as well. You're really isolating the rotation of the humeral head in the socket of the shoulder blade. Higher repetition, multiple sets. Another really good drill. So a big part of this whole paddle stroke, these big, strong internal rotation essentially, and extension of the arm. That's what a paddle stroke is. We need to make sure we're strong in everything that opposes that. That's why those external rotations are good. But all the muscles on the back side of the shoulder blade and shoulder to keep the shoulder from too far rolling forward. So a drill I often have guys use, you first tuck the chin, lightly lift the chest up. From here, you elbow, just an elbow row out to this T position. From there, extend, so you're really working between the shoulder blades, back of the elbows, control down, squeezing at the base of the shoulder blades, control. Out, extend, control back. This does not take much weight. One repetition should take you about 5 seconds. You're doing 12 to 20 reps, so it's building endurance and work capacity. This is not heavy loading. Out, extend, and down. Out, control, squeeze the shoulder blades together, squeeze the shoulder blades together, control down. That was 5 pounds. I could probably go a little lighter on that. Change that movement if you need to, just based upon the healthier shoulder. 5 pounds might be way too much load at first. It might just be a soup can or a water bottle, like a pound. Really just nice, slow, controlled, feel all the muscles on the upper back working. Improve your paddling. Multiple exercises there. That is a snippet of what you could come up with in terms of training for movement that applies to the sport. Pulling through power, strength, endurance, various rep ranges, various speeds, improve shoulder health, improve range of motion. And then comes the other aspects of paddling, the technique, a healthy shoulder, healthy spine, breathing. There's a lot to it, but this is a huge start. Stay healthy, keep your shoulders moving so that you can paddle. Check out surfstrengthcoach.com for more information. Improve your body so you can keep surfing. Peace.